Good morning, Floss Tube. It's Julie with Reflections Framing and Stitching. Today is Thursday. It is the 21st of May, and I am back for Chart of the Day video number, I've written it down, 36. I gotta write those things down. I look and then I promptly forget it. So, yep, number 36. Who knew? 36 videos later, I would still be here doing this, and you would still be enjoying it. I just wanted to kind of double check on yesterday because, I don't know, maybe people were getting tired of it and didn't want to tell me. So, you guys all said you're enjoying it, so I will continue. Don't know for how long for sure, but I will continue. Let's see, what can I tell you about today? Well, it's still cloudy, I can tell you that. We had one brief moment yesterday where the sun almost came out. Almost. And then it got dark again. And it wouldn't be so bad if we were actually getting the moisture we need, but we're not getting any rain. It's just clouds. So I'm kind of over that. We need some sunshine or some rain or both. A combination of both. Yeah, I don't know that spring is ever going to get here. And I didn't look to see what this weekend was going to do yet. So I'll have to watch the weather tonight, I guess. Let's see. We had the question of the day yesterday was about Paulette Stewart and Plum Street Samplers and what chart you might want to stitch of hers. And a lot of you love Paulette, and what's not to love. And you know, she in person is one of the sweetest people you'd ever want to meet. She's not one of those that gets on camera and acts one way and then acts a different way when you meet her. She is just genuinely a sweet, sweet person. Love her to death. Wish I saw her more, but she lives on the opposite side of town from me, and so I don't see her that often here in the shop. We've had her out to retreat a couple of times. She's designed a couple of our retreat projects for us. I've done her trunk show several times. And before the whole COVID thing, I did talk to her about possibly doing a class at some point, which I still want to do, but we got to get over this whole COVID thing. So I'll keep you tuned in on that one. So yeah, a lot of you like Paulette. A lot of you have ones that have been in your stash a long time that you'd really like to start, but haven't, like myself. And I'm thinking maybe we need to have a little bit of a challenge or something. So I'm going to think on that a little bit, decide what I want to do, and maybe challenge everybody to start their favorite Plum Street, or to finish if you've already got it started. Connie, the 4 you chose are huge. You will never finish them. Don't even think about it. She left a comment with 4 of Paulette Stewart's designs, but they were all big, and Connie doesn't really do big things. She used to, but she doesn't anymore. She does smaller things, and if it has a house right now, forget it, because she's over houses. So today is, I'm a little confused on today's chart of the day, and you'll understand, man, maybe you can clear it up for me. I've looked at the chart, tried to figure out what it is, and as far as I can tell, let me show you the color key. Okay, so there's the key, but she's got 2 different colors. Now normally that would be like you would, in charts of old, if they showed 2 different colors like that, you'd use one strand of one and one strand of another. It doesn't actually say that anywhere. I don't think I would do that if it were me. I suppose it could mean that you can have two different options for colors. There's still blues and grays. One's a little darker, one's a little lighter. I suppose it could mean that, but I should start with this, shouldn't I? It's Prairie Girls Sampling, Marjorie Massey. You get both charts. That's an awesome rooster. See that rooster in there? Awesome rooster. But it's French, I believe. There's not a lot of instructions. And I can't see anywhere where it says anything about blended threads, or, not that I could read it, but I'm going to let you see that part. So I don't know, I'm not sure exactly what that means. So if someone out there knows, please, by all means, let me know, because I'd really like to know what I'm talking about when I'm talking. For me, I'm going to treat it as two different color options, because they are slightly different, and I will just slightly though. I'll show you the two options. It looks like it's 35 count or 32 count fabric, 2 strands of floss or 1 strand of floss. They've stitched theirs on ivory, which I like. So see just slightly different options. This one's got a little bit lighter thread in it. Both would be pretty, but I don't know what they mean. So, like I said, if you know what it means, let me know. The charts are colored. There are no symbols. They're just strictly color, and I'm just going to show you just a very small portion of it, just so you can see it's in color with no symbols. And like I said, there's both of the charts. Both are in here. And as I said, it uses or calls for cream. I'm not real prepared this morning. I overslept. I stayed up way too late last night reading. Nothing that fantastic, just a paranormal romance thing. And did not get up at my normal 5 o'clock. So I was running a little late, and I'm a little discombobulated because of that. I don't like to run late. So I wanted to point something out. This, and I don't know if you'll be able to tell in the video or not. This is a 40 count cream. This is a 36 count cream. And you should be able to tell. This one, not quite as bright as this, and it's not just your screen. I put the colors on a 40 count cream because that's what I would stitch it on. And I didn't care for it. It was way too bright for me. I liked them much better on the softer 36 count. So I wanted to point out that even in standard colors like cream and raw natural and flax, it can still vary a lot. This is the other colorway, or the ones you're supposed to tweed. Tweeting. I would never do it. If you have to tweed it, no. So that's an option, but not all cream is created equal, is what I'm saying. So I guess since you're not in the store, or if you're not in the store, that might be a question for the person you're talking to or ordering from is, is that a really bright cream or is it a little softer? If that's a concern for you. Now, before I get these messed up, I want to put them back in their bag. Because even I can get those mixed up sometimes. I already have a big enough mess. I think the last 3 chart of the day things are still laying here on the counter. I need someone to come clean up after me. Would anyone like to volunteer? I'm the same way with cooking. Dan usually walks around and cleans up after me when I'm cooking because I make the big mess and then I clean it up afterwards, which drives him nuts, so he usually kind of cleans up as I go. It's just who I am. I really liked, when I was looking for, I didn't really like a color on with these. I kind of like having a nice lighter background. I tried some grays, tried some beiges, didn't really care for them. So I stuck mostly to a lighter, not quite white background. This is a color called Toasted Almond. Now the last time I got Toasted Almond in, it did not look like this. This one has some bluish green to it. But I really like the colors of the floss on this color. I don't have much of it, but I really liked how those colors looked on there. I thought maybe vintage navy bean would look good, but surprisingly enough, I did not care for it, so you don't get to see that option. But I thought it would, and it didn't. I was surprised. It was okay, but I just didn't feel the colors looked as pretty on it. So that was, like I said, that was a 36 count Toasted Almond. I think that's a hand dyed by Stephanie. Yeah. I also tried 36 count Taiko from Picture This Plus, which is a little bit lighter background. This is the Toasted Almond, and this is the Taiko. So it's a brighter fabric. But it still has, you can probably see, it still has some of that blue-green. This has a little bit of yellow in it. And like I said, the background is lighter. But I think it's very pretty also. That would make for a pretty sampler. And last, but certainly not least, this is a 46 count. It is Vintage Maritime White. Don't have a ton of it. But on 46 count, you don't need a big, huge piece. And these are not huge samplers. It's like 125 by 125. So you're on 35 count, it'd be like 7 by 7, and on 32 count, it'd be maybe 8.5 by 8.5. So not big pieces. Certainly doable. Okay, what did I say this was? Vintage Maritime White. There's one colorway on there, and the other. I think that would be very pretty also. I think I like the lighter colorway on this fabric because it's little more green. The two blues are a little more green than in the other one. Okay. So if anyone can answer that question about what she actually meant by the color key, that would be great knowledge to have. Today's question of the day kind of goes back to last Friday when we went over to, or Sunday, Monday, when we went over to Emma's for her birthday. And it was time for bed, and we were getting ready to leave, and she went into a total and complete panic because she couldn't find Puppy. Puppy is her stuffed animal. She's had it since she was born, and she cannot go to bed without Puppy. She's 5 years old. You can imagine what Puppy looks like. He's pretty threadbare. I have to stitch him up quite often. He gets holes in him, and his coat is getting to the point where there's not a whole lot to stitch together. I don't remember my kids being that attached to a stuffed animal or even their blankets. They were for like the first, couple of years, but by the time they were 5, I did wonder about Amy once in a while. Amy was very attached to her binkies. Like, she had to have 5 of them in the crib with her. She'd have one in each hand, one in her mouth, one by her nose because she liked to smell them. Ew. And then we'd put one extra one up above her head. So she kind of liked to be surrounded by her binkies, her pacifiers, whatever you want to call them. We've always called them binkies in my family. But as far as a stuffed animal or even a blanket goes, they had them, they liked them, but they didn't fly into a panic that I can remember. Melanie, I've talked to you about problems I had with Melanie as a child. Melanie had blankies. They were the kind of waffle weave with the satin trim around, and she used to, use the satin on her and rub it against her cheek and her neck, and she had 2 of them. And she had problems going to sleep, that child did. So we had twin beds, but she slept in my twin bed with me, which I did not care for because it was not big enough for 2 people. Eventually, I got her talked into, we pushed the twin beds together and she would sleep in hers and I would sleep in mine. But we had to do that every night. Mom didn't like them left pushed together, so every night we'd have to push the beds together every morning, pull them apart. Then I graduated her to, we held hands across the gap. We left them pulled apart, but I had to hold her hand across the gap. So that got old really fast. But she had her blankies, and by the time she was probably 5, all that was left was the satin trim, and it was all in a knot. Like, you could not have separated those 2 blankets for nothing, and Mom would have to throw them into the washing machine that way, and they'd just come out in this big mess. Eventually, we did convince her to quit sleeping with them, but they still had to be in the closet. And it took forever, and I finally convinced Mom to throw them away. And I don't think Melanie has ever forgiven me for having Mom throw them away. But, so my question is, did your kids, or do your grandkids, or maybe you, were you that attached to something? I don't remember I had my stuffed animals, but I don't remember going into a panic if I couldn't find them. And Emma was really in a panic. I don't think Addie is the same way. But Emma really likes her puppy. And I'm just kind of worried about, well, what happens when Puppy does fall apart? Because that's going to happen. sooner or later that is going to happen. So if you were successful in separating your child from their blankie or their stuffed animal, what worked for you? And were your kids that way, or were you that way? Is my question. I don't remember my kids being that attached. So just curious. I think that's pretty much all I have to tell you about. Got another busy. I have lots of fabric to cut today. I had a couple people call yesterday that wanted multiple smaller cuts of fabric, which is good because that's about all I have is the smaller cuts of fabric. Getting closer to that, what was it? Marilyn gave me eight or 9 weeks when I called. And I think that was the end of March. So we should be coming up close to that. But I know then that when I called to add something, she was like, no, it'll get there when it gets there, which I totally understand. Totally understand. But hopefully that fabric will be coming soon. I need to contact Stephanie and order some from her. I just need to get time to figure out what I need to order. Anyway, that's going to be my day, is cutting fabric and getting orders out. I didn't do any stitching last night. I watched a movie on Netflix and was looking at Etsy last night while I was watching a movie. So I did not put a single stitch in last night. I probably will stitch tonight. Dan will be teaching. It's his last class for the quarter. He came home yesterday and said his class has gone from 4 to 8 people, so it's full. It'll be online again. And yeah, I don't know anything else. So I hope you all are well today. I'm gonna end up having to go to the doctor, I think, and they'll probably put me on a decongestant, which makes me crazy. But I do have a lot of fluid still in that ear, and it's still echoing, and it's driving me nuts. So I'm probably gonna break down. I don't have a doctor. Mine moved away, and I haven't seen a doctor for a couple of years. So I gotta find a doctor and then probably drag my sorry butt in there and figure out why I have fluid behind my ear. So that's my tale of woe for the day. I hope you have a great day. I hope it's sunny where you are. I feel really bad for those that are having all the rain and the flooding. I was watching Stephanie, her Instagram. I watched it on YouTube. I didn't watch it live. But, Keepsakes, the basement flooded this week, and I know how it feels to have your shop flood, so I felt so bad for them, and I hope they've got it all cleaned up, and but I know there's flooding out there. I hope everyone is safe, and yeah, have a great day. Get some stitching done. I will see you in the morning. Bye-bye.